But first, we've got an RMIT academic, Liam Ward. Make him welcome.
Well, Julia Gillard has some tough choices to make, doesn't she? Yeah, for example, what would you do with the $2.8 billion that are about to be cut from education? You could, for example, you could spend $3 billion buying a new fleet of spy drones to boost your military spending. You could spend about $2 billion building a gulag archipelago to lock up refugees. Or you could give $2.4 billion to rich private schools, because God knows those rich kids are struggling to get by in schools with sometimes only one swimming pool. Now, here's the point, right? They're doing all of those things. All of that spending's happening. They have the nerve to talk about now the federal budget deficit. Well, let's clarify this. There's no bloody deficit in this country. This country has so much money. There is so much loaded wealth in this country. It's not hard to find it. I've got good news for Wayne. I've got good news for Julia. You haven't lost your $17 billion. We know where it is. We know where you left it. It's always in the last place you look.
Gina's pocket!
It's in Gina's pockets. That's where the money is. They tell us to tighten our belt. I can't even afford a bloody belt. They tell us we've got to take one for the team. They're not on our team. There's two teams in this country. I'll tell you what, we're fighting a war on two fronts here. It's not just Gillard. And this might surprise you, it's not Gillard on one side and Abbott on the other. They both support the cuts. Whoever wins the election, we've got a fight on our hands. When I say we've got a war on two fronts, we've got to remember who our real friends are and who they're not.
Not them!
It's not them, that's true. The Vice-Chancellors in this country, nice of them to say in some instances that at some universities they would allow, out of the goodness of their heart, some students to come down to a protest, and even some staff on occasion. But let's make it clear, these are the same Vice-Chancellors, such as that thug at La Trobe who decimated humanities last year. These are the same Vice-Chancellors as that thug up at Sydney Uni who's tried to cut 7% of staff last year. These are the same thugs that right now, in campus after campus after campus, are denying hard-working staff like me any kind of decent pay rise. In fact, any pay rise at all. We haven't had a pay rise at RMIT in 12 months now. Now, inflation's been running at almost 3%. That's a pay cut. And they have the nerve to make out like they care about education. They have the nerve to make out like they're on our side. We've got two fights here. We've got two enemies. One of them's in Canberra in Parliament, and Gillard and Abbott are both part of that team. And the other one's right here in Building 1 across the road. If they cared about education, they would actually give staff the conditions, the pay that we need in order to increase our services to students. I've seen class blowouts, I've seen class sizes rise, I've seen staff working all night. I recently met a guy in the RMIT cafeteria who said he also had some tough decisions to make. Now, we heard about Gillard's tough decisions. This guy said, I had to choose between paying my rent or buying my food. Now, we know those stories. We've heard students saying it. Here's the kicker. He wasn't a student, he was a tutor. He'd worked there for 5 years. That's the state of education here. We've got a fight in our hands. I'll see you at the next rally.
Woo! Thanks, Liam. And a big shout out to all the NTU staff who are going into their industrial bargaining periods as we speak, who are fighting thuggish administrations all over the state. I'm Sarah.